Before we go, I need to ask you. He raised the issue of corruption, and I thought about linking that to what she asked you earlier about debt forgiveness.
Yes.
Those we're borrowing from are keeping an eye on our nation. They see exactly how much the country loses in corruption, most of which is saved in banks in their countries. So when we go to ask for forgiveness, how disposed are they to forgiving these debts?
Well, okay, first of all, I think I need to address the issue of using recoveries to service your debts. I think that's very important because there are many people out there who are listening to these things, and the thing to take away from here would inform their knowledge about these issues going forward. It's saying obvious. The money you recover, you cannot pay debt money if it's not appropriated. You don't run, you're not running an individual shop. This is very important. And so you find that this is why, even for you to book debt, for you to book debt, you have to go, ideally, you have to go to the National Assembly. And that's why you have to put it in your budget. We're going to incur debt for this, and that's the essence. That annual budget is very important. And so you can't recover money, and you'll give you this money to pay back. No.
So why not put it in the budget?
What then you can now, subsequently, I hear that, for instance, now some of the money is recovered, we're going to lend them out to SMEs and so on and so forth. Now, the thing is that, in fact, when you even have a nation, and you run a nation, you run a fiscal policy based on, it's not transparent. And we're talking of corruption. The opportunities for leakages would increase. So if this money is coming and it's properly vetted, and how we're going to spend it, where is it going to go in, and we have reached an agreement, even when you did that, there will still be leakages. When you don't even do that, and you recover this money, and you're going to spend it like that, who is going to check? Who is going to police? The policeman. Those are the issues.
Quickly, just before we go,
yes.
He has mentioned that he's not sure that no country is ready to forgive us of any debt now. What will be the implication if we don't get to pay these monies, or as fast as we should? What will be the implication on the economy?
The implications are obvious. What will happen is that, it comes, if you owe me and you've not met up your debt obligation with me, then of course you're not in a position to, I won't give you any more monies. And if I'm doing business with you, the business transactions will be affected. That's one. And secondly, then it means the cost of lending to you, the risk factor. So if I'm going to lend to you, it means that to the extent that you borrow to the hilt, so you don't have latitude to repay this money. As I'm giving you this money, then the coupon rate, the interest that I'm going to ask is going to be something that's very high, prohibitive. Because I say, look, the risk here is too much. This is what I'm not going to pay. So if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it reluctantly. And for me to do it reluctantly, I'm going to charge you top of the range interest rate. And those are the implications.
And other lenders are also watching.
Yeah, so
they're not going to be they're not going to want to lend money, lend you anything as well.
Let me quickly put in Chris's question on Twitter. He says, how much of the debt can actually be traced to physical infrastructure or other investment? And why were the Paris Club funds shared when we are still owing?
Well, that's why we say, you should be, if you want to borrow, you should be a capital base. So for instance, we have Apapa Road. It's talked about Apapa Road. It's a huge albatross on this economy in terms of loss in productivity. And now, for instance, we borrow and say, okay, we're going to do Apapa Road. We borrow for it. That's obvious. We know where we're going to spend this money. Now, even if you're going to have leakages and spend this money, it's up to a certain extent the amount that you could hide. And so that's why if you're going to borrow, let it be projectile. It's very, very, very important. Once it's not projectile, then you have issues.
Thank you so much for coming on this morning to share your thoughts with us. Let me thank Mr. Tokwe Fashua in our Abuja studios. Maybe before I let Mr. Fashua go, someone is saying that why don't you acknowledge some of the economic, advancement under this administration? That is Nwachukwu Emeka on Twitter. Quickly, please.
No, I actually did say that a few of the projects are being done, like the rail, the rail system is being, they're spending some money on that, which is okay, so long as they're charging commercial rate. But I need to say this quickly. If Nigeria, the danger of repudiating debt if you are not able to pay is that other debtors will come after you. And that is where you see a scenario where by the time everybody is coming on you, everything goes haywire. You'll have to probably devalue in order to, just get going and have money to pay your salaries and so on and so forth. So it's a scenario that we shouldn't imagine willy-nilly, But
okay.
Hey, they're borrowing for things like rail. They should try and make sure that that is very commercial so that they can get some of the money back to repay,
All right. All right. Let me thank Mr. Fashua. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, quickly, I think that lots of advancement under this government. It's good for us to give credit where credit is due. For instance, we got into recession as the government was coming in. Now we're out of recession. I know people argue, they say, look, oil got us to recession, oil got us out. It's a management. And if you go to area of agriculture and so on and so forth, we are becoming self-sufficient in certain areas. If you look at central bank, what central bank has done in terms of this anchor borrowers program and so on and so forth, we're doing so many things. And even funds, we talk of interest rates.
But more Nigerians want to feel that impact.
They're in a hurry and so on, so we want it today. We don't want deferred gratification.
Some of us, some of Nigerians have waited for so long for this dividend to come, so maybe that's why they're in a hurry. Thank you so much for coming on this morning, Dr. Boniface Chizzy.
Okay. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, and thank you again, Mr. Pt.3 in our Abuja studios.